weekends are very precious, and particularly fine weekends when you can get out and about and do things. So I do appreciate it, and thank you to Refinery for allowing me to have the floor talk here at the exhibition. And the other person I really need to thank, apart from all of my friends who support me so well, is my husband Robbie, because without him I couldn't do a lot of the work that I do, because he does the heavy engineering and work like that, and he must be bored to tears coming along to hearing me talk about the art that I'm so passionate about. But I'm going to have to take that off because I'm not going to be able to talk with that on. It's crazy. So, no exit. You know, my exhibition, and it's a surprise. It's a surprise exhibition. I was in the gallery talking to Lloyd and Yanya about Heidi, about photographing some work that I wanted to submit to some awards. And I said to Yanya, he said, "Oh, hi, how are you? How's it all going?" And she said, "Terrible." And I thought, "Oh my God, why?" She said, "We've just had so many exhibition cancellations. So the amazing exhibition, Women in Architecture, that was supposed to be here now, of course got cancelled because most of those women are from the School of Architecture in Auckland, couldn't get their work done, couldn't come down for it." She said, "I'm tearing my hair out, and I just don't know what I'm going to do." And Lloyd looked at me and went like that, and I got the look, and I thought, well, why not? Because of COVID, 2 large sculpture events that I'd managed to get into this year for the first time, one cancelled and the other postponed until the end of the summer. So that had been the focus for my art making for the year, and I could see that this was my opportunity to present myself into different environments and hopefully make sales that can support me in my art making. So I was feeling bereft. We'd come out of level 4, and in level 4, Robbie did all of the supermarketing and driving around, and I just stayed at home. So I kept making art. So this is my lockdown dress. Hundreds of hours in that. This is fine copper wire from the cathedral organ. But I continued working. I completed the large piece over there with the bottle tops. And when we went to level 3, I went out driving for the first time, so it's, you know, how exciting. And I was bombarded with stop, don't go, orange cones, and I called it a cacophony. And I know a cacophony is what you hear, but the roads now are covered in signage of white lines on angles, arrows with curls, red going through the middle of pedestrian crossings, bright green going along the side, orange stripes, yellow stripes, circles saying don't have dogs, don't cycle, don't, negative, but so much signage, plus all of that, go slow, it's 30k, slow down, that we're totally controlled. We've been controlled by COVID, and all of this bureaucracy which is trying to make it safer for us, I think by its sheer volume of messages, is actually making it unsafer for us, or less safe for us driving around. So I was thinking about that, and with doing the wine bottle top pieces, I think, well, where can I take that? I want to turn it into something sculptural, hence the fluting. That's the beginning of making them more 3D instead of just text art pieces. But I thought about the signage that I was seeing, and with COVID, I sort of feel that we're in a cul-de-sac. It's a bit of a no-exit place that we're in, because whether we like it or not, the pandemic's not going to go away. They don't. So we've got to change our normal, how we think and how we live. And at the moment we're caught in this cul-de-sac, as we can't move, we're not accommodating it into our lives in the way that we have to. And that's where I got the idea to try doing words for the first time. And I did no exit. And it wasn't completed when I talked to Lloyd and Heidi and Yanya here and suggested that yes, I could do an exhibition in 5 days' time. So for those 5 days I really didn't get much sleep, and I was just working and nothing else, just working. So I did a few extra arrows because arrows are giving us direction and giving us rules and controlling us. So the double-ended arrow is, you know, which way do we go? And that's what we've all got to accommodate. So I thought that, no, it was actually quite a neat way of explaining this unusual situation that we're all in. And working from home to create more art, I couldn't get out and get anything, so it was only what I had. And that's what I really like about art, is that it challenges you and forces you to look at normal materials with different eyes. So since doing my master's, graduating nearly 7 years ago, my art practice has been very much transforming pre-used materials. So very environmentally based, but also gender equality based, because I just think the place of women in art and in life business, we're still not equal. The equality isn't there, and you don't get anywhere by slamming around with placards and being all violent and anti. And I'm a woman, and I like to present my ideas in a womanly way, and that's what we women do well, and the sharing and the talking. So my artwork is very collaborative. That I get friends to collect materials for me, and they can come and they help cut up plastic bags or all sorts of things. Like the very heavy work Robbie does, and the medium heavy I can do, but I don't insist that people do things. But when we're together collecting, or I'm talking about what I'm doing, I'm sending out the rhizomes. So the work has already started working before I made it. Approaching cafes and restaurants and vineyards and talking to friends and in dog huts when we're away hunting, talking to the usually men, not always, but usually men. They get intrigued, say, what on earth are you doing? Knitting plastic bags, or are you, what's that copper wire from? So I start the dialogue, and they have sent parcels of plastic bags from all around New Zealand. So they're collecting them, but they're obviously talking to their families. So the rhizomes of creating awareness are going out in a positive way of creating awareness. So that underpins everything that I'm doing. And I have always said that I feel that what I'm doing now is a reflection of our society, what's happening in our society now. And so, you know, 200 years and they find some of my artwork, they'll say, oh, this is what was happening in 2021, because it is a reflection of what's happening in our society and, you know, with the COVID. And I was reading, I get a sculpture magazine from America every couple of months, and reading about an artist who lives in New York and has got a big exhibition on called Installation. And he presents a lot of the things that I'm saying, but does it with humour and a bit of mockery, whereas I want to be intriguing and not mock. But we're on the same wavelength. His name is Guillaume Bill, or Bill, and B-I-J-L, and of course Guillaume in French is William, or Bill, so I think it's quite a wonderful play on words that he's Bill. But he said, I sometimes say that I show the archaeology of our civilization as it now stands, and I thought, that just is my view in a nutshell, and we're on opposite sides of the ocean. And so we're both providing a commentary on the now, but we're all being conditioned and controlled by things that are beyond us, and it's how we react to it. So my challenge with the art that I'm doing is to expand people's ideas and views on art, because, you know, what is art? And I want people to be more open to experiencing the artwork, not just looking at it, so that it's not just objects or artifacts or whatever, but interact with it, think about it. And so that is my modus operandi, and it's always wonderful when I find people like Bill who agree with me, and it's an affirmation for me, because we artists, we're at home on our own 99% of the time, and we do need positive affirmation or intriguing questions to challenge us. So the other artist that I've always aspired to is Louise Bourgeois. I agree to, and that underlies all of the work that I do with pre-used materials. So 95% of the pieces in here are all pre-used materials or off-cuts or remnants from another artwork that I had done. And when I came in to see about the space, I was thrilled to be able to get this space. I looked down and I saw Annie Tatham's 3 pieces, and they're just so figurative, and figurative pieces underline what I do. So instantly I knew, because I really didn't know whether I wanted to put these dresses in or not, but they carried the figurative from my exhibition, No Exit, through to Annie's. And it shows that we're coming at views on people, on life, on materiality from different points of view, but as we support each other. Another thing about art is, what is art? It's perception. It's your perception, Alison, it's yours, Rachel, and we all have different views. And with COVID and our No Exit position, people have different views. So this piece up here, which I call points of view, is all about our different perceptions of life. And it's a mixture of lenses that are just from the glasses that haven't had proper lenses put in, or pre-used lenses that my optometrist has changed for people. And so as you look through this, you're getting different views of the same thing. So depending where you look, this one here is highly magnified, and the different colours, that it shows the different perceptions that we have on life, and no perception is right or wrong, but artists, it is our responsibility, I feel, to represent, to challenge people, and represent what it is that's happening in the world today. So the other thing is that I don't like waste, and so I'm trying to get a whole lot better with not cooking too much food, using all of the leftovers, freezing what I can and reusing it, and composting so that not as much goes into rubbish. And so when I'm making art, there are always offcuts, and as I say, some of them I can reuse, but with all of the bottle top work, I smash the bottle top, I use the drill press and drill holes in them, and then I wire them together with galvanised wire. So that's probably that and the vinyl tube are about the only new pieces. And some aluminium rod. But I twist the wire, lean it back on itself and snip the end off and squeeze it. So I've got the little bits of wire, so I connect them. And the sculptural piece hanging on the wall, which also looks great on a plinth, is those offcuts. So the piece hanging on the wall, it was outside for about a year in another form, and a lot of the copper wire that I'd used had rusted, corroded, so I cut it all out and put it in the same container. So the vinyl tubing, which is serpentine and joint together, so it's a bit like No Exit, it's inexorable, there's all those pieces of wire. So I've used the bottom tops, the wire, the bits that I cut off are in that piece, and when good lighting is on it, it just comes alive as you get reflections of the copper wire and the galvanised wire. But in the window display, there's a piece that I did that is, I pick out, in the wine bottle tops, after I pick out the little, not cardboard and it's not plastic, but it's got a plastic sort of coating, so I pick those out, prick a hole in them, and I've just got this great long, it's about 12 metres long, and it looks like entrails. And I think, well, that's what it is, it's rubbish. It's shit. And so that is in the window. So what I'm trying to do is tie everything together and intrigue people enough that they want to look further, they want to see why has she done this. And a lot of the why is the nature of the material. I haven't got any of my work that I've done with fishing line here, because I get old fishing rods from the recycle centre, and some do actually with spools of fishing line on, and then I do buy some as well. But it's got its own DNA. It does what it wants, and so I've turned my art practice into something of an experiment and challenge. and I play with the materials, be they copper wire, be it the fishing line, so that it dictates how I use it and what my finished piece will be. Because, you know, if you keep trying to do what you want with it, then the materials that have a history and a life before I found them, they're not going to be able to keep telling their story because I'm trying to force them to do something that they don't want to do. So it's like being a kid of experimenting and playing, and some amazing things come out of it. So the materials dictated a lot, but also the people that I touch, because they will collect, as I say, collect materials for me. Classic case is the pieces with the glass syringes there, which I've done as like a no exit, just a circle of the plungers, because vaccination is such a contentious issue, but a necessary issue for us to address, you know, if we're going to stay living as normal a life as we possibly can. So the plungers, and then the pieces at the bottom, which are the plungers into the main part of the syringe, it took on a DNA of its own. They just wanted to, when I wired the bits together, they just wanted to twist. And it ended up looking like DNA, and I'm thinking that there is research that quite clearly says that when there's been trauma in a society or a part of society or within families, there ends up that there are changes to the fundamental DNA of those individuals and their offspring. So a lot of the animosity around the world, you think of the Irish issues and you think of the Jews and those surviving, living in the States, that they're carrying an agenda of, some of it's hatred, but they don't understand why. But now it seems that it is actually the DNA that carries through. So we're effectively in that situation now. We're very protected in New Zealand compared to elsewhere around the world, but the DNA will be changing as a result of what has happened. So we will all look at life differently. So I thought that being like DNA was just sort of exemplifies those issues. So my art practice will never be static. I hope to be like Louise Bourgeois and creating or getting other people to create work for me, as she did, right up until the time when I die. So there'll be no retirement. I couldn't imagine life without making art. And I think it's a luxury that it's a necessity for me to keep doing it. I couldn't not do it. So through thick and thin, I will, and I guess what I create will be a reflection again of what I'm going through. But I'm in my happy place making art, and I'm hoping that, you know, you people coming along today, that you will discuss some of the things that I've said, or think about them, so that you can carry on as risers and take these stories and the fundamental nature of what I'm trying to do. And it's not exceptional, it's a life skill. You know, I'm just presenting it in the way of an artist. So life is good, and I really appreciate you coming along, but I'd like to open up for any questions, because my work does need some explanation, which is supposed to.